The night Monica Eastland found the dying woman in the ruins, the sky was bleeding. Fire and ash rained down on what remained of Thornhaven village, painting the world in shades of amber and crimson. The battle had moved south hours ago, leaving behind only smoke and silence and the terrible stillness of the newly dead. Everyone else had fled, soldiers to regroup, civilians to safety, healers to camps where their work wouldn't be wasted on lost causes. But Monica had stayed because someone had to bear witness. Someone had to care for those the war forgot. The woman lay half-buried beneath what used to be someone's home, covered in blood both fresh and dried, her breathing barely a whisper against the wind. Her amber eyes, striking even as they dimmed, fixed on Monica with desperate intensity. Monica dropped to her knees, hands already glowing with the golden-orange flames that marked her gift. "Please," the woman gasped, each word costing her. "My son, the crown, they betrayed." Her fingers clutched at Monica's dress with surprising strength. Tell him to forgive." Then her eyes went empty. Her heart stopped. Monica's magic surged before thought could intervene. Her healing flames, which had only ever closed wounds and eased pain, exploded with power she'd never felt before. Golden fire engulfed the woman's body, not burning but blazing with impossible life. The air crackled. Reality seemed to bend around them. And against every natural law, against death itself, the woman's chest rose. Her eyes flew open. She gasped, alive but shattered. Monica stared at her own trembling hands, still wreathed in fading flames. "What have I done?" The woman looked at her with confusion replacing the earlier clarity. Where am I? What happened?" "You're safe," Monica whispered, though her heart was hammering. She'd just done the impossible. She'd brought someone back from death. "Can you tell me your name?" The woman's brow furrowed. Tears began to slip down weathered cheeks. I don't remember. There's only fog. And a boy. A boy with dark eyes who..." She trailed off, lost. Monica helped her sit up, supporting her fragile weight. "It's all right. Memory or no memory, you're not dead tonight. That's what matters." The woman looked at her with something like wonder. "You have a healing soul. I can feel it. Like fire that doesn't burn." Monica managed a weak smile. "Let's get you somewhere safe. Can you walk?" Together they stumbled through the ruins to Monica's hidden sanctuary, a partially collapsed home she'd reinforced and concealed. Away from the battlefield. Away from those who would ask questions about her magic. The woman's steps were unsteady, her breathing labored, but she was alive. Impossibly, miraculously alive. Monica built up the fire, heated water for tea, and found clean clothes. The woman sat wrapped in blankets, staring into the flames as if they held answers. "I see blood," she whispered. "Screaming. Betrayal. But I can't remember whose blood or who betrayed whom." Her amber eyes found Monica's. "Did you save me? From death?" Monica nodded slowly. "I don't know how. I've never. My magic doesn't work that way. Doesn't worked that way. Perhaps it needed a reason." The woman's hand, papery and cold, reached out to touch Monica's face. "Perhaps I needed to live." Days turned to weeks. Weeks turned to months. The woman, whom Monica began calling Darlene after words she'd whispered in feverish dreams, remained in the sanctuary. Her memories returned in fragments. A stone fortress, mountains touching the sky, a boy's laughter echoing through great halls. But nothing concrete. Nothing she could name. Monica tended to her with the dedication she gave to all her patients, but this felt different. Personal. She defied death itself for this woman. That created a bond deeper than healer and patient. Something like family. The war raged on around them. Monica treated the wounded who stumbled into her territory, shared what little food she had with refugees, and kept Darlene hidden from the soldiers who sometimes swept through looking for deserters. The woman was fragile still, prone to nightmares and sudden terrors, but slowly she grew stronger. 3 months after the resurrection, Darlene sat by the window watching Monica prepare dinner over the fire. "You should have left this place," Darlene said, her voice unusually clear. "You're young. Powerful. You could go somewhere the war hasn't touched. Build a real life." Monica smiled, stirring herbs into the pot. "I found something better than safety. Purpose. Connection without obligation. You needed saving and I could give that. It's enough." Darlene's eyes filled with tears. "Pie boy," she whispered. "I remember him now, just pieces. He was strong. So strong. And so very alone." Her hand pressed to her chest. I think I broke his heart." "What do you mean?" "I think he believes I'm dead." Before Monica could respond, a sound cut through the night. Not the distant rumble of artillery, but something closer. Horses. Many of them. Monica's flames flared instinctively around her hands. "Get back from the window." Meanwhile, across the war-torn territories, Rex Nightclaw stood in his command center, surrounded by maps stained with the blood of 5 years' warfare. They called him the Iron King now. The merciless. The unbreakable. He'd transformed his kingdom into a war machine, crushing his enemies with such brutality that even allies whispered his name with fear. But the victories felt hollow. Because the war hadn't been about territory or power, not really. It had been about rage. Grief. The gaping wound in his chest where his mother used to be. 5 years ago, they'd found her blood at an ambush site. No body. Just blood and her shredded clothing and the certainty that she was gone. Rex had searched until he'd nearly died from exhaustion. Howled until his voice was destroyed. Torn apart every lead, followed every rumor, interrogated every prisoner. Nothing. The not knowing had carved him hollow. So he'd filled the emptiness with war. With vengeance against anyone who might have been responsible. With such merciless violence that the gentle prince his mother had raised became a monster she wouldn't recognize. His beta commander, Marcus, entered without knocking, the only one who still dared. "Your Majesty." Intelligence from the border zones. More nothing. Rex's voice was flat. "That. Not nothing." Marcus hesitated. "Reports of a healer operating in the ruins of Thornhaven. He has fire magic, healing fire, they say. Unprecedented." "Why do I care about a healer?" "Because she's sheltering someone, Majesty. An older woman. Silver hair. Amber eyes. Memory loss." Marcus paused, letting the implications sink in. The descriptions match. Rex's world tilted. His heart, which had barely beaten for 5 years, suddenly hammered against his ribs. How long has this woman been there? 3 months. Since the battle at Thornhaven. 3 months. The timing aligned with the last reports of enemy movements in that sector. The battle where he'd pushed hardest, trying to break through enemy lines to what? To find ghosts? "It could be nothing," Marcus added carefully. "Another false lead, Majesty. We've followed dozens. Prepare a strike team." Rex's voice had changed. "Become sharp. Alive. Fast riders. Light armor. We leave in an hour." "Your Majesty, perhaps we should send scouts first." "Now, Marcus." Rex's eyes flashed gold, his wolf surging to the surface. "If there's even a chance." He couldn't finish. Hope was a dangerous thing. It had destroyed him once already, every time a lead turned cold, every time the woman wasn't her. But he couldn't not go. Could not know. Not this time. The journey to Thornhaven was brutal. Rex pushed them through enemy territory, through checkpoints they had to fight their way past, through land so devastated by war it looked like hell itself. His wolf clawed at his insides. His heart alternated between racing and stopping entirely. What if it's her? What if it isn't? What if I'm too late again? They reached the ruins at dawn, the worst possible time for an assault, but Rex couldn't wait for dark. His wolf was screaming. His soul was tearing itself apart. Marcus held up a hand, halting the group. "Smoke ahead. Recent fire." Rex dismounted, drawing his sword. Every instinct told him to charge forward. But 5 years of war had taught him caution even through grief. They approached on foot, using the rubble for cover. And there, partially hidden behind a collapsed wall, a structure that someone had clearly reinforced. Smoke curling from a makeshift chimney. Signs of life. And standing in the doorway, bathed in the golden light of dawn, a woman with silver blonde hair. Her hands were glowing with fire, flames that swirled around her fingers like living things. She stood between Rex's approaching warriors and the hidden sanctuary behind her. "That's far enough," she called, her voice steady despite being outnumbered 20-1. "This is a place of healing. Turn back." Rex stepped forward into the light where she could see him. He was massive, armored in black, carrying a sword that had killed hundreds. His crown caught the dawn and his eyes, dark and burning with barely controlled intensity, fixed on her. "I'm not here to fight," he said, his voice rough from disuse. "I'm looking for someone. A woman. Older. Silver hair. Amber eyes." His voice cracked. "Pie mother." The healer's expression shifted. Something like recognition. Maybe fear. "Who are you?" "Rex Nightclaw. Alpha King of the Northern Territories." His hands tightened on his sword hilt, not in threat but to keep them from shaking. "If you know where my mother is, please. I've been searching for 5 years." For a long moment the healer studied him. Her flames flickered but didn't go out. Then slowly she lowered her hands. "Wait here," she said quietly. "Don't move. Don't come closer. And for God's sake, put away that sword before she sees you. He's fragile." She disappeared inside. Rex could barely breathe. Marcus gripped his shoulder, the only thing keeping him upright. "Steady, Majesty. If it's not her, then we'll keep searching." But then a figure appeared in the doorway. An older woman, thin and scarred, wrapped in a simple shawl. Silver hair. Amber eyes. Weathered face that Rex would know anywhere in any lifetime across any distance. "Mama." The word tore from his throat. She stared at him, confusion on her face. "Do I know you?" And Rex's world shattered and rebuilt itself all at once. Before we continue with Monica and Darlene's story, I need to ask, are you part of our pack? If you're enjoying this tale of fire, resurrection, and forbidden love, howl your approval by hitting that like button and subscribing to join our wolf pack. And tell me in the comments, where in the world are you watching from, and what would you do if you discovered you just brought someone back from the dead? Now, let's return to Monica's story as the consequences of her miracle begin to unfold. 3 months had passed since the night Monica Eastland pulled a woman back from death's embrace, and still the miracle haunted her dreams. She'd wake in the dark hours before dawn, her hands tingling with phantom flames, wondering what price the universe would demand for breaking its most sacred law. The sanctuary had become their world, a reinforced ruin tucked into Thornhaven's devastated heart, hidden behind collapsed walls and the kind of destruction that made even scavengers turn away. Monica had chosen this place precisely because it looked like a tomb. The living didn't search for life among the dead. Darlene sat by the window now, wrapped in blankets Monica had scavenged from abandoned homes, watching the morning light paint gold across the rubble. She was stronger than she'd been, flesh returning to her bones, color to her cheeks, but her mind remained a shattered mirror reflecting fragments that made no sense. "I see a throne room," Darlene whispered as she often did when memories surfaced. "Marble floors, banners with wolves, and a boy, no, a man with eyes like storms." Her weathered hands trembled. "He's screaming my name, but I can't remember what it is." Monica stirred the pot over the fire, adding precious herbs to stretch their meager supplies. "It'll come back. Memory is stubborn. It returns in its own time. Do you believe that? Or are you just being kind?" Monica had learned that Darlene's lucidity came and went like tides. In these clear moments, the woman she'd saved seemed almost regal, despite the rough clothing and the scars that spiderwebbed across her arms. "I believe you survived for a reason. That's enough." The words were as much for herself as for Darlene. Monica had spent years running from pack politics, from the violence she'd witnessed as a child when her father's alpha had beaten her mother nearly to death over some imagined slight. She'd watched the pack stand by and do nothing, bound by laws that made Omega's property. When her mother finally died, not from the beating but from the slow erosion of spirit that followed, Monica had sworn she'd never submit to any pack, any alpha, any system that treated lives as expendable. So she'd become a healer in war zones, the one place where everyone was too desperate to enforce the old hierarchies. Where an Omega with fire magic could save lives without anyone demanding she kneel. A sound outside made her flames flare instinctively. Footsteps. Multiple sets. Through a gap in the wall, Monica spotted them, 3 figures moving through the ruins. Not soldiers. Their clothes were too ragged, their movements too cautious. Refugees then. The war created more of them every day. She stepped outside, keeping her flames visible but contained. "You're safe here. Are you wounded?" The leader, a woman with a child clinging to her leg, sagged with relief. "We heard there was a healer. One who doesn't ask questions." Doesn't report to either side. You heard right. Monica gestured them forward. Come. I have food, shelter. Not much, but enough. Over the next hours she tended their injuries. The woman's infected wound from shrapnel, the child's burned hands, the old man's fever. Her flames danced across their skin, pulling poison, knitting flesh, easing pain. The magic sang through her with familiar warmth, though now it carried an edge it hadn't before. Since the resurrection her power felt deeper. Wilder. As if that night had opened a door inside her that wouldn't fully close. You're a miracle, the woman breathed as Monica finished. They say you saved Darlene Nightclaw herself. Monica's hands stilled. What did you say? The old woman you shelter. Word travels even in war zones. They say She doesn't remember who she is, Monica interrupted sharply. And I don't care about rumors. But the woman's words had caught Darlene's attention. She'd emerged from the sanctuary, drawn by the conversation. Her amber eyes were wide, fixed on something beyond sight. Nightclaw, she whispered. That name. I know that name. Your name? Monica asked gently. My son's name. Darlene's face crumpled. Oh God's my son. Rex. Rex Nightclaw. Her legs buckled and Monica caught her. He thinks I'm dead. For 5 years he's believed I'm dead. Monica's blood turned to ice. Rex Nightclaw. The Iron King. The most feared alpha in all the territories, who'd been waging this brutal war for 5 years. Since his mother's supposed death. Darlene, Monica said carefully, helping her sit. Your son, is he the one who? He's destroying himself, Darlene sobbed. I can feel it. All this death, all this war. It's because of me. Because he thinks. She gripped Monica's arms with surprising strength. You have to find him. Tell him I'm alive. I can't just walk into the Iron King's war camp. Then he'll find you. The refugee woman's voice was quiet but certain. She was staring past Monica at something in the distance. Because they already know you're here. Look. Monica turned. On the ridge overlooking the ruins, 3 figures stood silhouetted against the smoke-dark sky. They didn't move, didn't approach. Just watched. And even from this distance Monica could see the glint of weapons. Not refugees. Scouts. And from the way Darlene had gone rigid, her face draining of color, Monica knew with terrible certainty. Someone was coming for them. Someone who wouldn't take no for an answer. He's close, Darlene whispered, and Monica couldn't tell if it was hope or terror in her voice. After all these years. My son is finally close. Rex Nightclaw's war room stank of blood and ambition. Maps covered every surface, each marked with red pins that represented the dead. His enemies, his soldiers, the civilians caught between. 5 years of warfare reduced to colored ink and strategic calculations. He'd stopped counting casualties after the first year. Numbers lost meaning when you became the thing that created them. Your Majesty, the Eastern Front requests reinforcements. His general's voice was carefully neutral, the tone of a man who'd learned not to show weakness. They're outnumbered 3-1. Let them hold. Rex didn't look up from the map. Pull back would show vulnerability. We don't retreat. They'll be slaughtered. Then they'll die as warriors. His voice was iron and ice, the kind of cold that made even hardened soldiers flinch. Better death than dishonor. The general bowed and left. They always left. No one argued with the Iron King anymore, not after what happened to the last counselor who'd suggested mercy. Rex had torn out his throat in front of the entire court. A lesson in what happened to weakness. Marcus, his beta commander and the only one who still dared speak truth, stood in the corner watching with those knowing eyes. You're not the man she raised. The words hit like a blade between the ribs. Rex's hands clenched on the table's edge hard enough to crack wood. She's dead. What I am doesn't matter. Doesn't it? Marcus moved closer, lowering his voice. The peace delegation arrives tomorrow. They're offering favorable terms. The war could end. The war ends when I say it ends. Rex finally looked up and his eyes held nothing human. Just wolf. Just rage. When every pack that might have harbored her killers is ash. When I've carved my vengeance into every territory that denied me answers. He'd been different once. Before that night. Before the ambush. The memory hit him unbidden as it always did in quiet moments. His mother's convoy returning from peace negotiations. The attack coming from nowhere, wolves and fire and screaming. He'd been miles away, felt the bond shudder and run until his paws bled raw. But by the time he arrived there was only blood. Her blood. Her shredded clothing. The scent of death and dark magic. No body. No closure. Just the gaping certainty that she was gone and he'd failed to protect her. The gentle prince who'd believed in diplomacy had died that night too. In his place rose something else. Something that understood the world's only language was violence. Majesty. A scout burst through the door, breathless. Intelligence from the border zones. There's a healer in Thornhaven. I don't care about healers. She has fire magic, sire. Healing fire. And she's sheltering an older woman. Silver hair. Amber eyes. The scout paused, letting the words land. Memory loss. The descriptions matched the Queen Mother. Time stopped. Rex's heart, which had barely beaten in 5 years, suddenly hammered against his ribs. How long? 3 months, Majesty. Since the Thornhaven battle. 3 months. Not years. Not decades. 3 months of his mother alive while he'd been killing in her name. It's probably nothing, Marcus said quietly. We've followed false leads before. Rex had. Dozens of them. Each time the hope had carved him a little more hollow, until he'd learned not to hope at all. But this time something felt different. The description was too precise. The timing too perfect. And his wolf, silent and dead for so long, suddenly stirred. Prepare a strike team, Rex said, his voice changing. Becoming sharp. Alive. 20 riders. Fast and light. We leave within the hour. Your Majesty, we should send scouts first. Verify the intelligence before you risk. Now, Marcus. Gold flashed in Rex's eyes. His wolf surged against his skin, clawing to get out, to run, to find. If there's even a chance she's alive. He couldn't finish. The words lodged in his throat alongside 5 years of grief. Marcus studied him, seeing past the monster to the broken man beneath. And if it's not her? If it's another false lead? Rex turned to the window, watching smoke rise from distant battles. Then I'll have confirmation she's truly gone. And I'll finally be able to burn this world to ash without regret. But even as he said it, his hands were shaking. His armor felt too heavy. His crown pressed down like the weight of all his sins. Because for the first time in 5 years Rex Nightclaw was terrified. Not of death or defeat, but of hope. That treacherous, fragile thing that could destroy him more thoroughly than any weapon. He left within the hour, armored for war but praying for a miracle he didn't deserve. They came at dawn, when the smoke from distant fires painted the sky the color of old blood. Monica heard them before she saw them. The thunder of hooves, the clank of armor, the organized silence of soldiers who'd killed enough to make death routine. She positioned herself in the doorway, flames already dancing across her fingers, while behind her Darlene made a sound like a wounded animal. Stay inside, Monica commanded softly. Whatever happens, stay behind me. The riders materialized through the ruins like vengeful ghosts. 20 warriors, all bearing the black and silver of the Northern Territories. And at their head, a figure that made Monica's breath catch despite herself. He was massive, taller than any man should be, wrapped in dark armor that seemed forged from shadows and rage. A crown sat heavy on his head, and his eyes burned with an intensity that made her flames flicker. This was no ordinary alpha. This was apex predation given human form. Rex Nightclaw. The Iron King. The monster who'd been drowning the world in blood. That's far enough, Monica called, letting her fire blaze brighter. This is a place of healing. Turn back. He dismounted with lethal grace, hand on his sword hilt. I'm not here to fight. His voice was rough, broken. I'm looking for someone. My mother. Behind Monica, Darlene's breathing turned sharp and panicked. No. No, that's not, he's not. Who are you? Monica demanded, even though she knew. Rex Nightclaw. Alpha King. His eyes, dark and desperate, found Monica's. Please. If you know where she is, I've been searching for 5 years. I'll give you anything. Everything. Monica's heart twisted. This wasn't the monster from the stories. This was a man barely holding himself together, hope and terror warring across his face. Wait here, she said quietly. And for God's sake, take off that armor before she sees you. She turned to find Darlene pressed against the wall, shaking. That's not my son. My son was gentle. Kind. That man out there is broken, Monica finished. Because he thinks you're dead. She took Darlene's trembling hands. You have to try. Let him see you. Darlene's amber eyes filled with tears, but she nodded. Monica guided her to the doorway, supporting her weight. Rex had removed his helmet and chest plate. Without the armor he looked younger. More human. His dark hair was wild, his beard unkempt, and his hands, those hands that had killed thousands, shook as he saw Darlene. Mama. The word broke on his lips. Darlene stared at him, her face crumpling in confusion and fear. I don't. Who are you? Monica watched Rex's world shatter. He dropped to his knees, a king made supplicant by love and grief. It's me. It's Rex. His voice cracked. Please, Mama. Please remember. Rex, Darlene whispered, testing the name. She took a hesitant step forward, then another. Her weathered hand reached out, trembling, to touch his bearded face. And something in her eyes shifted. Flute. Pie boy. My gentle boy, what have they done to you? I thought you were dead, Rex choked out. I searched everywhere. The words dissolved into sobs that shook his massive frame. Darlene pulled him close, this broken king, and held him like she used to when he was small. I'm here. I'm alive. I'm here. Monica felt tears on her own cheeks watching them. But then Rex's eyes opened, found hers over his mother's shoulder, and something primal flashed in their depths. His wolf surged to the surface, recognizing, claiming. Mate, he breathed. Monica's flames exploded in instinctive rejection. No. Rex stood slowly, still holding his mother but now staring at Monica with an intensity that made her skin prickle. You saved her. You brought her back to me. His voice turned possessive. You're coming with us. Both of you. To my fortress where you'll be safe. I'm not going anywhere with you, Monica said, backing up a step. Your mother is alive. Take her. But I'm staying here. Monica, no. Darlene's protest was immediate. She turned to her son with sudden fierceness. If she doesn't come, I don't come. Rex's jaw clenched. His wolf was clawing at him, demanding he take what was his. But his mother's eyes held a warning he couldn't ignore. Please, he said to Monica, and the word cost him everything. I can protect you both. The war zone isn't safe. Let me. He struggled for words that didn't sound like commands. Let me repay the debt I owe you. Monica looked at Darlene's pleading face, at the Iron King brought to his knees by love, at the bond she could feel trying to form between them like golden threads she didn't want, and realized she had no choice at all. The journey through enemy territory was a study in contradictions. Monica watched Rex command his warriors with brutal efficiency. His voice cold iron, his decisions swift and merciless when scouts reported enemy movements. He was every inch the Iron King, the monster who'd drowned the world in blood. But then he'd turn to his mother and his entire being would soften. He'd adjust her cloak with gentle hands, ensure she had the warmest position by the fire, speak to her in tones so tender it broke something in Monica's chest. Darlene rode between them on the second day, still weak but growing stronger. Her memories returned in fragments that made her gasp and weep. A stone fortress, a coronation, her son's face before the war had carved it into something terrible. I remember teaching you to be kind, she said to Rex as they made camp. To value mercy over strength. His jaw clenched. Mercy got you killed. I'm not dead. You were. For 5 years you were. His voice cracked. And I became what I needed to be to survive it. Monica couldn't stay silent. You became what killed her in the first place. Violence. Vengeance. Endless war. She met his burning gaze across the fire. You've become what you most hate. Rex's eyes flashed gold. You know nothing about what I've become or why. Don't I? Monica's flames danced along her fingers. I watched my father's alpha beat my mother nearly to death. Watched the pack stand by because omegas don't matter. Because strength is the only law. She stood, letting fire blaze brighter. She died slowly after that. Not from the wounds but from being broken. So yes, Alpha King, I know exactly what you've become. The words hung between them like drawn blades. Rex stood too, towering over her, radiating the kind of power that made weaker wolves submit. But Monica had stopped submitting years ago. "I failed her," he said finally, his voice raw. "She was returning from peace negotiations I should have attended, and they ambushed her convoy. By the time I arrived there was only blood. I couldn't protect her. Couldn't save her." His hands clenched into fists. "So I became strong enough that no one could take anything from me again. And how's that working?" Monica's voice softened despite herself. "Has all that strength filled the hole she left?" Rex looked away and Monica saw the answer in the slump of his shoulders. The mate bond pulled at her, wanting her to comfort him, to close the distance. She hated it, hated that her body responded to his pain, that some part of her wanted to heal this broken king. "I'm not asking you to understand," Rex said quietly. "Just to let me protect you both now. Let me do this one thing right." Before Monica could respond, a whistle cut through the night. A warning. Rex's transformation was instant. "Ambush. Circle formation, protect the..." The attack came from 3 sides. Enemy wolves, at least a dozen, using the darkness and terrain. Rex's blade sang through the air, finding throats with practiced efficiency. His warriors moved as one brutal machine. But 2 broke through, heading straight for Darlene. Monica's flames exploded outward with unprecedented force. Golden fire that didn't just heal, it burned. The attackers screamed as her magic found them, searing flesh, stopping hearts. She'd never used her gift this way, never knew she could. But as one fell and another lunged for Darlene, Monica's power surged from protection into pure destruction. And then into healing again as one of Rex's men went down, throat torn. Her flames leaped to him, closing wounds, pulling him back from death's edge. Combat healing, burning enemies while mending allies in the same breath. The battle ended in minutes. The survivors fled. And Rex stood staring at Monica with something between awe and hunger. "You're not weak," he breathed. "You're a weapon wrapped in mercy." Monica's hands still glowed with fading fire. She was shaking, horrified by how easily she'd killed, how good it had felt. "I'm a healer. You're a warrior who chooses to heal." Rex moved closer, his eyes never leaving hers. "There's a difference." The mate bond screamed between them, amplified by battle and adrenaline. Monica knew she should step back, maintain distance. But Rex's hand cupped her face with surprising gentleness, and she found herself leaning into it. "I see you," he whispered. "Every part of you. The healer and the fighter. The compassion and the fury. And I." She kissed him to stop the words. Or maybe he kissed her. It didn't matter. What mattered was the desperate claiming of it, the way his arms wrapped around her like she was the only solid thing in a world gone mad, the way her flames danced harmlessly across his skin. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Monica saw Darlene watching with knowing eyes. "We should keep moving," Monica said, stepping back. "They'll send more." But as they mounted up, Rex's hand caught hers. "When this is over, when you're both safe, we need to talk about what's between us." Monica pulled away, but the warmth of his touch lingered. The mate bond hummed with satisfaction, with recognition, with the terrible certainty that running from this was becoming impossible. Ahead, through the smoke and ruins, Rex's fortress waited. And Monica had the sinking feeling that reaching safety would be the moment her real danger began. Rex's fortress rose from the mountains like a crown of stone and ambition, all dark spires and battle-scarred walls that had withstood centuries of warfare. Monica's breath caught as they approached, not from beauty, though it possessed a terrible kind of that, but from the sheer overwhelming scale of power it represented. This was the heart of an empire built on violence. And somehow, impossibly, she was riding through its gates. The courtyard erupted in controlled chaos. Warriors snapped to attention. Servants rushed forward. And then someone recognized Darlene, and the whispers spread like wildfire through the assembled crowd. The Queen Mother. Alive. Returned from the dead. Monica felt their eyes shift to her next. Assessing, suspicious, hostile. Who was this unknown Omega riding beside their king? What claim did she have to his attention? "Stay close," Rex murmured, his hand finding hers with unexpected protectiveness. Court politics are more dangerous than any battlefield. The first weeks blurred together. Monica tended to Darlene in luxurious rooms that felt like gilded cages, exploring halls so vast she'd get lost for hours. The fortress was a contradiction. military might wrapped in dark beauty, every stone holding secrets and old blood. She felt suffocated by it, by the weight of expectations she hadn't asked for. But the library became her sanctuary. Ancient texts lined walls that stretched toward vaulted ceilings, and Monica lost herself in research, trying to understand what she'd done that night in Thornhaven. The resurrection. The impossible made real. What she found chilled her. Resurrection magic is forbidden, she read aloud, tracing words written centuries ago. It violates the natural order. Those who succeed pay terrible prices. Madness, corruption, death. The flames that heal can just as easily consume. Worried about the cost? Rex's voice made her jump. He stood in the doorway, divested of armor for once, looking almost human in simple dark clothing. Shouldn't I be? I broke laws older than kingdoms. Monica closed the book carefully. There are always consequences. You saved my mother. Whatever the cost, I'll bear it with you. He moved closer and Monica forced herself not to retreat. I came to ask your counsel. Peace negotiations resume tomorrow. I want your perspective. I'm a healer, not a strategist. You're someone who sees past the bloodshed to what matters. His dark eyes held hers. Help me end this war the right way. So Monica found herself in council meetings, her outsider perspective challenging assumptions that had calcified over 5 years of conflict. While generals demanded total victory, Monica asked what victory meant if the land was ash and the people were broken. While advisors insisted on harsh terms, Monica pointed out that humiliation bred future wars. Rex listened. Not always agreeing but listening with an intensity that made her skin prickle. Their real conversations happened in the fortress gardens, walking among flowers that somehow bloomed despite the war. Rex would shed his Iron King persona there, becoming just a man trying to find his way back to himself. I don't know how to be him again, he admitted one evening, staring at his hands like they belonged to someone else. The man before. The one she raised. He's dead and I killed him. Maybe you're not supposed to be him, Monica said softly. Maybe you're supposed to be better. Someone who learned from the darkness without letting it consume him. Rex looked at her with such raw vulnerability that the mate bond sang between them. And if I can't? If I'm too broken? Then we're both broken. The words slipped out before Monica could stop them. And maybe that's okay. His hand found hers, fingers intertwining. For a moment she let herself imagine it, staying here, helping him heal, accepting the bond. But then reality crashed back. She was an Omega in an Alpha's fortress, surrounded by enemies she couldn't see. And she was right to be wary. Servants whispered in corners, falling silent when she passed. Council members who should have celebrated peace instead argued for continued warfare. Monica felt eyes on her constantly, assessing, calculating. Then one morning, Darlene screamed. Monica ran to her rooms, finding the older woman pressed against the wall, trembling violently. Him, she gasped, pointing at a portrait on the wall. That man. He was there. The night of the ambush. Her voice broke. He smiled at me before the attack. I remember now. He smiled like he'd won something. Monica's blood turned to ice as she recognized the face in the portrait. Not some distant enemy or unknown traitor. Lord Commander Theron. Rex's most trusted military advisor. His mentor. The man who'd been by his side since the war began. Are you certain? Monica whispered. Darlene's amber eyes, so like her son's, blazed with terrible clarity. He orchestrated my death. And now he knows I'm alive to remember it. The formal court presentation was designed to intimidate, and it succeeded brilliantly. Monica stood in the throne room wearing borrowed finery that felt like a costume, while hundreds of nobles and warriors assessed her with predatory interest. Darlene beside her radiated quiet dignity despite her fragility, but Monica felt exposed, every eye calculating her worth. Rex sat his throne like a dark god of war, crown heavy on his brow, and announced the Queen Mother's miraculous return. The room erupted in carefully controlled celebration. Then his gaze found Monica and something in his expression shifted. Monica Eastland, healer and savior of the Queen Mother, is under my personal protection. Any who threaten her answer to me. The possessiveness in his voice made Monica's flames flicker. She wasn't some prize to be claimed, some protected thing. But before she could protest, Lord Commander Theron stepped forward, his smile not reaching his eyes. Majesty, wonderful as this reunion is, we cannot forget the war. Our enemies see this moment as weakness. We must strike now, show strength. Other voices joined his, a chorus demanding blood and conquest. Monica watched Rex's face harden back into the Iron King, saw him nodding at strategies that would kill thousands more. And something in her snapped. "You're not healing your kingdom," she said, her voice cutting through the din. "You're bleeding it dry." The throne room fell silent. Every eye turned to her. Rex's gaze was dangerous, but Monica held her ground. 5 years of war. For what? Vengeance? Pride? Her flames danced along her fingers. "Your mother is alive, Majesty. The reason you started this is gone. But you keep fighting because you don't know how to stop. You forget yourself, Omega," Theron growled. "You address the Alpha King. I address a man who's forgotten what he's fighting for." Monica's eyes never left Rex's. "And if I'm wrong, prove it. End this." The silence was deafening. Then Rex stood slowly, power rolling off him in waves. "We will discuss this. Privately. Now." His chambers were all dark stone and barely controlled fury. The moment the door closed, his control shattered. "You challenged me. In front of my entire court." His voice was thunder, his eyes blazing gold. "Do you understand what makes you look weak?" Monica's own fire rose to meet his rage. "Good. Maybe weak is what you need to be. Maybe admitting you're lost is the first step to finding your way back. You know nothing about leading. About the weight of these decisions. Then help me understand." She moved closer, fearless despite his size. "Because from where I stand, you're destroying yourself and calling it duty." Rex's hands slammed into the wall beside her head, caging her in. "Don't you think I know?" The words tore from him raw and bleeding. "Don't you think I hate what I've become? But I can't stop. If I let myself feel." His voice broke. "The grief will destroy me." Monica saw it then. The broken man beneath the crown, held together by rage and duty and nothing else. Her hand rose to cup his bearded face, and he leaned into it like a dying man finding water. "Let it destroy you," she whispered. "Let yourself break. I'll be here to help put the pieces back together." The mate bond slammed into place with the force of destiny itself. Golden threads weaving between them, binding soul to soul. Rex gasped, and Monica felt his grief, his rage, his desperate love flooding through the connection. And he felt hers, her trauma, her loneliness, her stubborn hope that something better was possible. "I'm terrified," she admitted, tears streaming. "Of this bond. Of losing myself. Of becoming what my mother became. I'm terrified too." His forehead pressed to hers. "Of failing you. Of this war consuming us both. Of being too broken to deserve you. Then we're terrified together." Monica pulled him down, claiming his mouth with hers. "And we choose this anyway." The kiss ignited into something desperate and claiming. Rex lifted her, and Monica wrapped herself around him, her flames dancing harmlessly across his skin. They made it to his bed through shared need and tangled clothing, and when they came together it was fire and fury and the terrible beauty of two broken people choosing to heal as one. Her magic surged through the bond, golden flames that didn't burn but illuminated. His alpha strength met it, merged with it, until Monica couldn't tell where her power ended and his began. They burned together, bright and consuming, and for the first time in 5 years Rex Nightclaw felt whole. Dawn found them tangled in sheets, the bond humming with contentment. Rex traced patterns on her skin, wonder in his eyes. "I love you," he said simply. "Not because of destiny. Because of choice. Because you see the monster and love the man anyway." "I love you too," Monica whispered. "And I'm still terrified." "Good." He kissed her softly. "Fear means it matters." Then he slid from the bed, kneeling before her. "I won't command you. Won't cage you. Whatever comes next, you choose. Stay or go. Accept this bond or reject it. I'm yours, but you remain your own." Monica pulled him back into her arms. "I choose us. But on our terms. As equals." A knock interrupted them. Darlene entered without waiting, her face grave. "We need to talk. About the night of the ambush." She looked between them, seeing the changed bond, and smiled sadly. "I remember now. Everything. And you need to know, the attack was planned from within. I saw documents in Theron's chambers before we left. Letters coordinating with your enemies. Her voice hardened. Your most trusted advisor orchestrated my death. And now that I'm alive to remember, he'll try to finish what he started. They had 3 days before the next council meeting. 3 days to gather proof that wouldn't get them killed, to build a case strong enough that even Theron's allies couldn't dismiss it. Monica worked through her network of healers and refugees. People who moved through the world invisible, seeing everything because no one thought to guard their words around those deemed powerless. The intelligence they gathered painted a picture more damning than even Darlene's memories suggested. War profiteers. Supply contracts that enriched council members while soldiers starved. Letters between Theron and enemy commanders, coordinating attacks for maximum chaos while minimizing actual territorial change. The war had been manufactured, prolonged deliberately because peace threatened their power and profit. He didn't just try to kill my mother, Rex said, staring at the evidence spread across his war table. His voice was eerily calm, the kind of quiet that preceded violence. He's been using her death to manipulate me. Every decision I've made, every battle I've fought, he shaped it all. Monica watched him carefully, seeing the rage building behind his eyes. Rex. I'm going to kill him. Still that terrible calm. Slowly. Make him feel every year of grief he caused. No. Monica moved between him and the door. You're going to give him a fair trial. Let your people see justice, not vengeance. He doesn't deserve justice. Maybe not. But your kingdom does. Her flames flickered, not in threat but in plea. You told me you didn't know how to be the man you were before. This is how. By choosing what's right over what feels good. Rex's hands clenched into fists. The bond thrummed with his barely contained fury, and Monica felt how close he was to breaking. But then Darlene's hand touched his shoulder. She's right, my son. I didn't survive death to watch you become what he tried to make you. The rage drained from Rex slowly, replaced by something more dangerous, resolve. We expose him at the council meeting. Publicly with evidence. Let his allies scramble to distance themselves. They plan meticulously. Monica trained her combat magic in the courtyard while Rex drilled her in palace politics. Who could be trusted, who served power over principle, how to recognize danger in a smile. They were partners now, truly, their bond allowing them to coordinate without words. At night, they strategized in bed, papers scattered around them, bodies intertwined. Monica would trace the scars on Rex's chest while they discussed contingencies. He'd run fingers through her silver blonde hair while she outlined escape routes if everything went wrong. You're brilliant, he murmured one night, watching her adjust their battle plan. I've been fighting this war with generals and warriors. I should have found a healer years ago. You weren't ready to be found. Monica kissed him softly. Sometimes we need to break before we can heal. The night before the council meeting, neither of them could sleep. They stood on the balcony watching the fortress below, both feeling the weight of what was coming. I'm terrified, Monica admitted. That we'll fail. That he'll kill Darlene before we can stop him. That I'll lose you just when I found you. Rex pulled her close, his warmth solid against the night chill. Then we're terrified together. But Monica, he tilted her face up to meet his gaze. Promise me something. No martyrs. No heroes. If it goes wrong, we survive together or not at all. That's a terrible promise. It's the only one I need. His kiss was desperate, claiming. I lost you before I knew you existed. I won't lose you now. Not to him. Not to anyone. They made love with the fierce intensity of people who knew tomorrow might steal everything. The bond sang between them, fire and strength merged into something greater than either alone. When they finally slept, it was tangled together, armor against the coming storm. Dawn brought Darlene to their chambers, clear-eyed and resolute. She looked at them, her son and the woman who'd saved her, and smiled with such love it hurt. Whatever happens today, I want you to know I'm proud. Of you both. Of what you've become together. She took their hands, joining them. You've already won because you chose healing over hatred. That's what he could never understand. That's what will defeat him. Rex embraced his mother, holding her like he'd never let go. Then they dressed for war. Not the kind fought with swords, but the more dangerous kind fought with truth. The council meeting began in an hour. And Lord Commander Theron sat in his usual place, smiling, unaware that his carefully built empire of lies was about to burn. The council chamber was full when they entered, every seat occupied by nobles and military commanders who'd grown fat on war profits. Theron sat at Rex's right hand as always, his expression neutral, giving nothing away. But Monica felt the tension thrumming through the bond, Rex's barely contained rage, her own fear coiling like a serpent in her chest. "High Lords," Rex began, his voice carrying the weight of command. "We gathered today to discuss." The doors exploded inward. Soldiers in palace colors but wrong faces flooded the room. Monica's flames flared instinctively, but too many too fast. She saw Rex reaching for his sword, saw Darlene turning in confusion. Then hands grabbed the Queen Mother, a blade pressed to her throat. "Theron's blade." "I'm sorry it came to this, Majesty," Theron said, his calm shattered by triumph. "But you've become inconvenient. Both of you." More soldiers surrounded Monica. She burned too before they pinned her arms with chains that reeked of dark magic, suppressing her flames. Through the bond she felt Rex's fury explode, felt him moving. "One step and she dies," Theron warned, pressing the blade until blood welled. "You too, healer. Try your magic and the Queen Mother loses her head." Rex froze, everything in him screaming to attack. But Monica was captured. His mother was bleeding. And Theron smiled like he'd already won. "Here's what happens now," Theron continued, addressing the shocked council. "Our good king has grown soft. Weak. He wants peace when we stand on the verge of total victory." He looked at Rex with something like pity. "You abdicate. Publicly. Name me your successor. Then you and your mother disappear quietly. Do this and the healer lives. Refuse and I kill them both while you watch." "You planned this from the beginning," Rex said, his voice deadly soft. "My mother's death. The war. All of it. The war made us powerful. Rich. Your grief made you controllable." Theron shrugged. "But then she survived and you found something to care about besides vengeance. Can't have that." They dragged Monica away, down into dungeons she hadn't known existed. The chains burned her wrists and she could hear Rex roaring her name through the bond, feel his terror matching her own. Her captors threw her into a cell and one, a captain she recognized from court, leaned close. "Nothing personal, healer. But Theron pays better than honor." "This goes beyond him, doesn't it?" Monica asked, reading the answer in his eyes. "How deep does the conspiracy run?" The captain laughed. "Military commanders, trade guilds, 3 neighboring kingdoms who profit from the chaos. You think exposing Theron ends this? We're everywhere. The war is the system now." He left her in darkness and Monica sagged against the wall. The magic-suppressing chains made her flames gutter and die. She could feel Rex through the bond, desperate, furious, planning something reckless. If he attacked, Darlene would die. If he surrendered, they'd all die anyway. Unless. Monica closed her eyes, reaching for the bond. Not to draw comfort but to draw power. Rex's strength flowing into her. His alpha dominance, his warrior's will. The chains were designed to suppress her magic, but they hadn't counted on her being mated to the most powerful alpha in the territories. Her flames reignited. Not the gentle gold of healing, but white-hot fire that fed on the bond between them. The chains began to glow, to melt. And Monica realized, the bond didn't weaken her magic. It amplified it beyond anything she'd imagined. Through the connection she felt Rex's shock as her power surged. Felt his understanding dawn. "I'm coming," she sent through the bond. "Hold on." The chains shattered. Monica's flames exploded outward, an inferno that consumed the cell door, the guards beyond. She ran through stone corridors turned molten, her fire clearing a path. Soldiers tried to stop her, she burned through them without slowing. The power was intoxicating, terrifying. She was destruction incarnate, wrapped in healing light. She reached the council chamber to find chaos. Rex fighting his way toward Theron, his mother still held hostage. Monica's flames shot forward, a wall of fire between Theron and his escape. The blade at Darlene's throat wavered. "Let her go," Monica said, her voice resonating with power. "Or burn." Theron's eyes widened, seeing death in her face. But he was a warrior who'd survived decades through ruthlessness. "If I'm dying, I'm taking her with." Rex's sword took his hand at the wrist. The blade clattered away. Darlene stumbled free and Monica's flames caught her, gentle now, healing the cut on her throat. Then they turned on the remaining traitors. Monica's fire and Rex's blade working in perfect synchronization. They moved like one being, anticipating each other's strikes through the bond. Traitors fell. Conspirators surrendered. And in the end, Theron knelt before them, bleeding and beaten. "Kill me," he spat. "Make me a martyr." Rex's sword hovered at his throat. Monica felt the rage coursing through him, the need for vengeance. But she also felt his uncertainty, his desire to be better. "Justice," she said softly, touching his arm. "Not vengeance. Show them what true strength looks like." Rex met her eyes. Then slowly, deliberately, he sheathed his sword. "Lord Commander Theron, you are under arrest for treason, conspiracy, and attempted murder of the Queen Mother. You will stand trial. You will face justice." His voice carried through the chamber. "And the world will see that the Alpha King serves the law, not his rage." The trials lasted 3 weeks and laid bare the rot at the kingdom's heart. Theron and his co-conspirators faced their accusers in open court, every citizen permitted to witness. The evidence was damning. Falsified reports, profit ledgers stained with blood money, letters coordinating attacks that killed thousands for political gain. Some conspirators begged for mercy. Others, like Theron, remained defiant to the end. Rex presided over it all with grim determination, his mother at his side, Monica at his other. When the verdicts came down, prison for some, exile for others, execution for the architects of mass murder, he delivered them without satisfaction or rage. Just the heavy weight of justice finally served. The day after the final verdict, Rex addressed the kingdom from the fortress balcony. Thousands gathered below, and through magical amplification his words carried to every territory. "I stand before you not as the king I was, but as the man I must become." His voice was steady, stripped of the iron that had defined him. "For 5 years I waged war in my mother's name, believing it was duty. I was wrong. I was manipulated by those who profited from our suffering, and in my grief, I became the very thing I swore to destroy." He paused, letting the words settle. "But my mother lives. My mate showed me another way. And now we rebuild. Not through conquest but through justice. Not through fear but through earned respect." Monica watched the crowd's reaction, shock giving way to something like hope. Beside her, Darlene wept with pride. Peace negotiations began immediately. Rex's former enemies arrived expecting the Iron King and found instead a ruler willing to admit mistakes, to compromise, to build something lasting. Monica sat at the negotiating table not as decoration but as chief healer and reformer, her perspective reshaping conversations that had been deadlocked for years. The treaty signing 3 months later felt like the world exhaling. Territory disputes resolved. War reparations balanced fairly. And most revolutionary, the establishment of the Omega Council, giving previously powerless voices equal weight in governance. Monica would lead it, working alongside Rex to dismantle the hierarchies that had enabled so much suffering. "You're changing everything," Darlene observed, watching Monica draft the council's charter. "We're changing everything," Monica corrected. "Rex, you, me. All of us who chose healing over hatred." Healing centers rose throughout the kingdom, staffed by Omegas trained in Monica's methods. The first opened in Thornhaven, on the exact spot where she'd resurrected Darlene. A monument to impossible hope. The mate bond ceremony came 6 months after Theron's trial. Unlike the private moments they'd shared, this was public and profound. The fortress courtyard overflowed with citizens who'd traveled from every territory to witness their Alpha King claim his queen. But when the moment came, Rex didn't stand above Monica. He knelt before her, crown removed, and offered his hand as an equal. "You brought me back from death as surely as you brought my mother back," he said, his voice carrying through magical amplification. "You took a monster and saw the man. You took vengeance and transformed it into justice. You are my mate, my queen, my partner in all things. But more than that, you are free. Today, tomorrow, always. I kneel not in submission but in recognition that true strength lies in partnership." Monica pulled him to his feet, her flames dancing joyously around them both. "I choose you. Not because destiny demands it but because you chose to be better. Because you proved that even the most broken can heal. Because love isn't chains, it's wings." Their kiss ignited the bond completely, and every wolf present felt the power of it. Not dominance. Not submission. But partnership forged in fire and tempered by choice. 2 years later, Monica stood on the fortress walls with her daughter cradled against her chest. The infant's eyes were amber like her grandmother's, and her tiny hands already showed signs of fire magic dancing between her fingers. Rex stood beside them, one arm around Monica's waist, the other supporting Darlene, who'd grown frailier but no less fierce. Below, the first kingdom-wide memorial for war victims unfolded. Thousands gathered to remember the dead, to honor their sacrifice and to commit to peace. Monica's flames leapt from her hands, lighting ceremonial torches across the fortress, across the territories, carried by runners until the entire kingdom blazed with commemorative fire. "I died so that you could learn to truly live," Darlene said softly, watching the flames spread. "All that pain, all that darkness, it brought us here. To this moment. To this future." Rex's hand found his mother's, squeezed gently. "Worth it. Every moment." She looked at Monica, at her granddaughter. "Look what rose from my ashes. Look what love built." Monica leaned into Rex, feeling the bond hum with contentment, with hard-won peace. The sunset painted the healing kingdom in gold and crimson, and for the first time in 7 years, the smoke rising from chimneys came from hearth fires, not war. "We rose from ashes," Monica whispered, kissing her daughter's forehead. "All of us. And we'll teach her to build, not burn. To heal, not harm. To choose love even when destiny offers easier paths." Rex kissed her temple, his mother's hand in one of his mate's in the other, his daughter between them. The Iron King was dead. In his place stood something better. A leader who understood that the greatest victories weren't won with swords but with the courage to heal, to forgive, to transform pain into purpose. Below them the kingdom celebrated. And above them, stars emerged like promises written in light, bearing witness to the truth that even from death and destruction, love could resurrect not just bodies but broken souls and shattered worlds. The war was over. The healing had only just begun. And together, mother, son, mate and child, they would tend the flames that would light the way forward for generations to come. And so Monica and Rex's story comes to an end, but their legacy is just beginning. From death came resurrection. From vengeance came justice. From broken souls came a love that transformed kingdoms. If this tale touched your heart, if you howled with triumph at their victories and wept at their pain, show your support by liking this video and subscribing to our pack. We have more stories of alphas and omegas, of bonds forged in fire and love that defies destiny. In fact, our next tale is already waiting for you. A story of secrets, forbidden magic, and a queen who discovers her true mate isn't who everyone expects. Click the video on your screen or check the description below to continue your journey through our supernatural world. Until next time, may your bonds be strong, your choices be brave, and your heart be open to the impossible. The pack awaits your return.